guys, and welcome to my mushroom experiment. So here in Rwanda, usually you buy local mushrooms to eat. You can buy the button mushrooms, but they're kind of expensive for what you get. But for less than you pay for that, you can get a huge paper bag of local oyster mushrooms. Now, that's what I did, and I like to chop them up and fry them with some garlic, you know, very nice. But I forgot about some. So there was a whole bag of them, and I totally forgot them, and when I open them, they're covered in mycelia. So mycelia is kind of like, it's like the tree roots, but for mushrooms, and if you have the mycelia, the mushrooms can grow. So I asked on Kigali Gardens what kind of substrate I needed. So, you know, like a tree grows in earth, but mushrooms need a substrate, so they need a form of nutrients. And somebody suggested that I just put them in wood chips. So I've just bought a huge bag of wood shavings, far more than I think I actually need. And I've got to just mention this is not a sponsored video, but I'm going to tell you about Q&E, which is this courier company in Kigali, who are just amazing. I mean, they help me to make my life function. If you've got a shopping list or there's something that you need that you haven't got, you can just send it to them and they'll send a driver out, they'll get it and they'll deliver it to your house. And they're brilliant because once they've been to your house once, they never forget where you live. So there's none of this standing outside going, hello, hello, where are you, where are you, where are you? Which happens a lot here because like street numbers and directions are not a big thing. So, you know, you can spend hours trying to find your delivery guy. So once they know where you live, they just deliver to the same place over and over. And they also remember where your contacts are. So if you say, could you send this to a person that I know in Nyamirambo? If they've been there before, they'll do it again. So they make life really easy. And what I really like is sometimes I don't know where to get things. Like today, the guy said, oh yeah, put them in wood shavings. And I'm like, oh great, where do I get those? And I just sent them a little message and said, do you know anywhere that sells wood shavings? And they came back a few minutes later and said, yeah, sure, this is what we can get you and this is how much it costs. And I was like, brilliant, thank you very much. And then I just pay them a little bit of money and they go off and they deliver the wood shavings, which I've got down here. So this is the start of my mushroom adventure. I am going to just put some of these into a bag and see if I can grow some mushrooms. Okay guys, I'm not too sure if the advice about using wood chipping was correct for mushrooms. Because when I was watching a video online, which I probably should have done before ordering the wood chipping, they're all using straw. But, I mean, the guy said wood chips, so we've got wood chip, let's give it a go. So I'm just going to pack this little bag with wood chippings. Okay, so from what I've heard, we need this to be at about 80 degrees rather than 100 so that it kills off the bad bacteria, but it doesn't completely sterilize the substrate. So I guess this is probably about right. I'm going to pour it into the bucket. Got to be very careful about lifting this. Okay, so we're going to leave that to pasteurize for about an hour. Oh my goodness, it's tipping it down. Okay, let's rescue this. I think it's probably had enough time. Ooh, very hot. Finally, there we go. Ooh, very hot. So now apparently it needs to drip dry. So I'm going to just hang it over my washing machine so that it can drip dry into there and then I can drain it away. There we go. So I'm just suspending it over the washing machine and I will let that drip for, I don't know, 20 minutes. Next step, I've got a little handheld steamer here and I'm just going to sterilise these 2 tubs. You could do it with boiling water or possibly with something like Dettol, I guess, if you wanted to. But as I've got the steamer, I'm just going to give them a quick blast. Okay, so in the videos, they put layers of substrate and layers of spores together. Like you can buy big thick blocks of mycelia, but we don't have any blocks of mycelia. The only mycelia I've got are on the existing mushrooms. So I'm not going to try and grow the mushrooms straight away. What I need to do is to put the existing mycelia, the old mushrooms, into a tub and attempt to try to get the mycelia to multiply. So I want all of this to go white, and then I can start to use that to grow mushrooms. It's a bit complicated, but hopefully this will work. So unfortunately, I let the mushrooms dry a little bit too much. So there isn't as much mycelia as there was. But you see this white stuff that looks like velvet? That is technically it. So I'm just going to trim around it, and I'm going to put the existing mycelia in here, bury it under the substrate and see whether or not we can coax it to expand. I'm going to try and see if I've got enough substrate left to do a larger pot, or at least a second pot, because if one of them spoils, then hopefully the other one will continue. And every day we need to get it a little bit of air, and importantly keep it damp, because if it dries out everything will stop. So that's quite nicely packed, and yeah, I should have enough substrate left, or enough wood shavings to do another small one. I've just found a beautiful piece here, but there's lots of it on this one. It looks like really thick, luscious white velvet. It's very, very delicate. If you touch it, then it bruises very easily. It goes flat and a bit brown, so you've got to be quite delicate in how you handle it. And again, I've just split one open. It was closed like this, and I split it, and inside there's quite a lot of it. You can see just this very, very top thin layer. So you've got the main body, the main fruit of the mushroom where my finger is, and then just above my nail you've got a very, very thin layer of the white mycelia. Very, very pretty. It's fluffy like cotton wool. Very dense cotton wool. Oh my goodness, I think it is very, very ready to grow, because I just took a quick peek inside the brown paper bag that I'd forgotten them in, and there's actually mycelia growing on the paper. So I'm hopeful. It seems like it's got a will to live. On camera it might just look like mould, but it isn't. It's white mycelia, the same stuff on the mushrooms. The brown stuff, the dark stuff, is actually damp. It's not another type of mould. But that white stuff is beautiful mycelia. Okay, so I've done 3 tubs with varying amounts of mycelia in and varying sort of density of substrate. So that one's quite loose. These 2 are more tightly packed. This one has got no light, and I think that might be the better one, because I don't think mycelia like sunlight very much. I think mushrooms need it to grow, but I think the actual mycelia prefers damp and dark. So I'm going to cover all of these with a towel. You're supposed to keep them somewhere quite dry, and humid and warm is the best condition for mushrooms. And thankfully at the moment, although we're in the rainy season, which is the colder season, it's usually between about 24 and 26, sometimes a bit higher during the day, and never goes below about 18, 17 at night. So it's warm enough, and providing I remember to spray them with some water each day, it should remain damp enough. So let's give it a few days and see what happens. Hi everyone, so a little bit of an update. My mushroom experiment was a total failure. Nothing grew. I left it for a month. I kept it nice and watered and dark and warm. Nothing happened. I looked through it later on. There wasn't any mycelia growing, nothing. I still think that it should have been straw, not wood shavings. But let me know what you think. If you've grown mushrooms before, if you've grown oyster mushrooms before, tell me what I should do to make this work. And I will give it a go next time. But all is not lost, because although I didn't grow any oyster mushrooms, a couple of weeks later I went out into my garden and I found this. Morning guys, I've just woken up and I found a giant mushroom in my garden. How cool is this? It's like the size of my hand, look at that. If anybody knows what kind of mushroom it is, I'd love to know. Little ant on it. I've just noticed there's another one over here. Well, there we go. There's a little one in amongst the spinach. Wow. It's a little bit misshapen having grown up in amongst the greenery, but very cool. You can get a much better view of the gills, so they're all white. That's fascinating, absolutely fascinating. I'd love to know if it's edible. Oh goodness, there's even more of them. Wow, these ones look like they've been here a while. That's crazy, I wonder what they are. Oh, and there's some baby ones coming up here, they haven't opened yet. Gosh, look at that. Right next to a sprouting onion. Absolutely amazing. They look like roasted marshmallows. It's the very next day and they've all opened already. Look at this. All three of them. How amazing is that? Really amazing.